I thought I'd found a quiet refuge, a place to pause and gather my thoughts. But when laughter spilled from the kitchen and unfamiliar faces greeted me with knowing smiles, I realized this wasn't my plan. It was his. A night meant to unfold in ways I never expected. Would you step into a moment you didn't design? If you love stories that blur the lines of trust and connection, hit like and subscribe. New here? Welcome. Let this tale pull you into its quiet mystery. The old Victorian house on Maple Street in Portland was supposed to be my sanctuary, a temporary haven offered by an old friend, Daniel, who said I could stay as long as I needed. No strings, no expectations, just a place to breathe while I sorted through the fragments of my life. I'd arrived late the previous evening, exhausted, and collapsed into the guest room without much thought. But as dawn crept through the lace curtains, I woke to the murmur of voices drifting from the kitchen. Low, warm, laced with laughter, they didn't belong to the silence I'd expected. The air carried the scent of fresh bread and coffee, a warmth that felt too lived in for a house I'd thought was mine alone. Curiosity tugged me from the bed, my bare feet padding across the hardwood as I followed the sound. I hesitated at the kitchen doorway, smoothing my sweater. The room glowed under soft morning light, a small speaker humming a soulful tune on the counter. 3 figures stood around a wooden island, their ease suggesting they'd been there for hours. Daniel was there, his familiar frame leaning casually against the counter, a mug in hand. Beside him were 2 men I didn't know, one with a rugged charm, his sleeves rolled up to reveal a faint scar on his forearm, the other younger, with a quiet intensity in his dark eyes. They paused mid-laughter as I entered, their gazes turning toward me, not with surprise, but with a calm familiarity, as if my arrival was part of the script. "Hey, Sarah," Daniel said, his voice warm, unhurried. "Didn't mean to wake you." His smile was easy, but it carried a hint of intention I couldn't quite place. I nodded, still piecing together the scene. "Morning," I managed, my eyes flickering between the strangers. They offered nods, their expressions open, like we'd crossed paths before, though I was certain we hadn't. Daniel slid a steaming mug across the island. "Coffee's fresh," he said. I took it, the warmth grounding me as I tried to make sense of the moment. The kitchen felt alive, chairs slightly askew, a loaf of bread cooling on a rack, the back door cracked open to let in a cool breeze from the garden. No one rushed to explain their presence, and for reasons I couldn't name, I didn't ask. The day passed quietly, the house settling into a rhythm that felt both foreign and familiar. By evening, the kitchen was cleared, dishes stacked neatly to dry, and a single lamp cast a golden glow across the living room's worn bookshelves. Daniel offered the guest room again, but I shook my head, drawn to the openness of the couch. "I'll stay here," I said, my voice softer than I intended. He raised an eyebrow, curious, but not pressing. "You sure?" I nodded. "It feels right." He didn't argue, just draped a soft blanket over the cushions and left me to the quiet. But the silence was too heavy, too complete, like a memory that lingers too long. I tried to settle, curling into the blanket, but my thoughts churned. Past choices, uncertain futures, the weight of being alone with myself. Restless, I rose and wandered toward the back of the house. Daniel's door was slightly ajar, a sliver of light spilling into the hallway. I knocked softly, stepping closer. He sat on the edge of his bed, a half-read novel in hand, his shirt unbuttoned, revealing the familiar lines of his collarbone. He looked up, not startled, just present. "Can't sleep?" he asked, setting the book aside. "I don't want to be alone with my thoughts," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, his gaze steady, inviting me to stay without saying it. I hesitated, then sat at the foot of the bed, my hands clasped in my lap. the room lit only by a small bedside lamp. The silence between us wasn't heavy. It was soft, like a pause that didn't demand filling. We didn't speak for a while, and that was enough. Time slowed, the air between us warm, unhurried. "I didn't expect to feel this calm," I said finally, my voice catching slightly. He gave a small nod, almost imperceptible. "It's been a long week," he replied, his words simple but weighted. We stayed there, not moving, not explaining, just letting the moment hold us. Morning arrived softer than the night before, the house exhaling into a gentle stillness. I found Daniel on the back porch, a mug cradled in his hands, the early light filtering through the pines. The sky was a pale gray, softening the edges of the world. I joined him without a word, settling on the steps beside him. We didn't look at each other, just gazed out at the yard, where dew clung to the grass. "You seemed at ease last night," he said after a while, his tone light, but curious. I nodded. "It was quiet. I needed that." He turned his mug in his hands, thoughtful. "Some friends are coming by tonight," he said. "Nothing big, just a few people catching up." I glanced at him. "You hosting?" He shrugged. "More like letting them crash here for a bit. Happens sometimes." I paused, unsure. Should I make myself scarce? He shook his head. "No, you're welcome to stay. It's your space, too." His words settled over me, warm but undefined. "Do they know I'm here?" I asked. He nodded. "They know someone's around, not much else." I sipped my coffee, now lukewarm, and let the idea linger. "No pressure," he added. "Say hello if you want, or don't. It's up to you." I looked at him, searching for a hint of expectation, but found none. "What's it like, this gathering?" I asked. He smiled faintly. "Just people reconnecting. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we just sit." I nodded, letting the words sink in. "I'll think about it," I said. He stood, stretched, and gave a small nod before heading inside. I lingered on the steps, the morning air cool against my skin, and somehow that felt like enough. That evening, I took my time getting ready, choosing a simple charcoal dress that felt like a quiet reclaiming of myself. I brushed my damp hair, added a touch of lip gloss, and studied my reflection. The mirror showed someone familiar yet slightly shifted, like I was stepping closer to a version of myself I hadn't named. I heard Daniel's voice from the hallway, soft but clear. "They're almost here." I adjusted my dress, meeting his eyes in the mirror. "Friends?" I asked. He leaned against the doorframe, relaxed. "Yeah, people I've known forever. Nothing formal." I turned to face him. "Do they know I'm staying?" He nodded. "They know someone's here. That's it." His tone was easy, no weight behind it. "I don't know what to expect," I admitted. He smiled faintly. "You don't have to. Just meet them." A knock, boom. 3 soft taps on the front door. Daniel glanced toward the sound, then back at me. "Whenever you're ready," he said. I took a breath, not out of nerves but thoughtfulness, and walked to the entryway. I paused, straightened my posture, and opened the door. 2 men stood there, one tall in a dark jacket with a quiet confidence, the other younger with warm eyes and an easy stance. They greeted me with the small nods, their smiles polite, unhurried. "Evening," the taller one said, his voice soft but steady. There was no ceremony, just a natural ease as they stepped inside, their movements calm, like they belonged. One draped his jacket over a chair, brushing off a speck of dust. The other glanced at the bookshelf, his eyes lingering on the titles with casual curiosity. They didn't stare at me, giving me space to settle into the moment. I stood by the hallway, coffee mug still in hand, the air between us quiet, not heavy. just waiting. "I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do," I said, half laughing. The younger man met my eyes, his voice calm. "You don't have to do anything," he said, his words clear, not dismissive but grounding. I nodded, more to myself, and moved closer, drawn to the warmth of the moment. I took a seat on the sofa, the cushions warm from the nearby fireplace. The younger man pulled a chair closer but stood for a moment, taking in the room, not judging, just present. No one rushed to fill the silence. It wasn't a beginning or an end, just a moment that had already started, waiting for me to step into it. Someone said something small, a passing comment I can't recall, but it shifted the quiet into something shared. I leaned back, letting my breath deepen, feeling the weight of expectations lift. No roles, no demands, just the quiet comfort of being seen without needing to explain. That was enough. This wasn't her plan, but maybe that's why it mattered. If you were in that room, would you have stayed? How would it have felt? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading. If these quiet, layered stories resonate, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more.